What's going on? Welcome to the most exciting podcast that you didn't know is the most exciting podcast on the internet. The extraordinary man that you guys know who I am. I am Phil Jones or Mike Jones, however you know me personally or professionally. And today we have the panel with us that matters the most in cyberspace. Introduce yourself on the other side of the screen. Okay,
Decided.
okay. So now on
Other
the other
side.
side of my screen.
All right. Oh, that's still me. All
Yeah,
right. What's
yeah, yeah.
what's going on, y'all? Let's Midas. Make sure you put a king in front of that. Let's go.
And y'all know the homie.
Kadeem Bourne. I'm sitting in with the boy Phil Jones. It ain't three screens, it's two screens, but it's all the same. You know what I mean?
Yes,
See,
sir.
the benefit is the fact that we can guarantee you crystal clear audio and video with no chopping. So y'all gonna get a nice production outside of all the artwork in the background and my favorite work of art, the blinds. But anyway, to be continued on that. So, matter of fact, I really think that that's a good segue. Knowing your worth. So we touched on this concept
Worth with an F.
with a worth.
Worth. That's how they
Knowing
say it
your
up
worth.
north.
WERF, worth. Know your worth. You see, conceptually knowing your worth can have many meanings. A lot of the times you look at a situation and you say to yourself, whether you're dealing in relationships of monogamy, you're dealing in relationships of business, whether you're dealing amongst old friendships, new friendships, courtships, whatever, any type of shit, whatever you got. There's usually has to be an understanding of what's in it for you. What happens is that some of us have put to the side some of the best attributes of ourselves in order to accommodate other people. And in doing so, we have taken massive shorts. We've lost opportunities. We've allowed other people to usurp opportunities. We didn't see the value in what we had when we had it, or we placed too much value on something that didn't deserve it. And today I want to delve into the various myriads of knowing your worth. So, first thing I want to get into is something that we've already touched into when it came down to business, kind of segueing off of the finance conversation. And I want to go into some of the different areas of life to where that applies. Good evening, Relentless Mikey. You know you need to be up here on the screen, baby, whenever you're ready. All right, so Kadeem, we'll start with you. In business, you've done a lot. And from the time that I've known you, you have literally just been like the freelance god. You go outside and you just go make a job.
Huh.
Explain a situation to where you know that you took a short because you believe that the benefit on the back end was much greater than what it was, and what was the result that you ended up with?
Just business or just life.
Just we talking about business now. We're gonna segue into other things as we go.
I guess it's always because there's a point in business where you start and your main goal is to just gain some money. So there's plenty of times where I've, not outside of the trucking, like just as far as like a videographer or a director goes, where I've took on a job because I wanted the work, and I ended up doing so much work that I wish I didn't take on a job. And so I think when you do get into business, I think it is important to kind of plan for stuff like that, because I'm not saying you start something and then you immediately start booming, but you have to pick your battles correctly. Like if I'm gonna take on something free, I have to have stipulations with the free work that I'm gonna offer. Or if I'm gonna take on something for shorts, I need to make sure it's in red, like, okay, I'm not doing this. This is what it comes with. This is what it do. But when you're just eager to grow your business and to gain clientele, you sometimes can immediately sell yourself short, just because of you want to you want to get more clients, but sometimes you have to do it. But I say set stipulations, and that's something that I didn't really do.
So when you started, was it more so like of a paying dues type of situation, or was it more so of a not really understanding the flow of how things worked and just really because you didn't have anybody around to kind of school you to the game yet, or you didn't have enough experience in your own to school yourself to the game that you just went out just trying things to figure it out?
Well, I had the game, but in this particular lane, like even if I would like today, like I'm speaking in today's terms, I have been shooting for so long, but when you move from another state and you go and you come back to a state, 10 to 50 new videographers have popped up. So I can show people my work as much as I want, but it's the people that are relentless that know like, okay, these people got to see my work. So you may have to just do it
Right.
to gain that name again.
Or to
So
reestablish.
yeah, so it's not really not knowing the business. It's just having to start over or, establish yourself in a new market, a new area.
Or even in just like the lane that you're in, and even though it's a familiar sector, it's a new generation of business being done, especially in an emerging market like Orlando or Arizona or Atlanta, like Houston, like those booming markets, not the established ones like the Chicago's, the LA's, the New York's.
Yep.
One thing I can say, and Midas, I want your opinion on this as well. If you remember back when Sky's Limit Production Group was in play, we were the only media company in Central Florida. There was nobody else. Might have been one or two other people, but as far as having an established brand, there was nobody else around. Nobody wanted to be the person holding the camera. Everybody wanted to be the person behind it, or in front of it, rather. So when that lane started getting created and you start looking at what's going on, I can't take credit for what people have done. But what I can say is the fact that somebody got the idea to say, we need more of that and less of this.
Yeah.
Because they saw a couple of guys that were out there that were actually doing it. And had I stuck in that lane, I probably would have been Central Florida's Vlad.
Yeah.
And then when 23 Centuries Media emerged, it was a rebranding, but it never picked up the steam that the previous had because now the rappers that were out at that time are not the same rappers. The music isn't the same. The scene isn't the same. Out with the old guys, in with the new guys. You don't have the relationships with the new guys. Battle rap and stuff like that was something that was still fairly popular and it's kind of went by the wayside because there's so many out here now, whereas it wasn't when I was doing my thing. So when it come down to you, Midas, you have been like, I won't even say a serial entrepreneur, but you're like addicted to expansion. You get an idea and you will build and build and build and build and build on an idea a million times. Like, you wasn't a guy that just sat back and said, like, yo, I'm going to work for DirecTV. You say, like, yo, I'm going to get a piece of it. I want a piece of the market share. I don't want to work for anybody and I don't become part of the movers and the shakers in that industry. So why don't you talk about a specific situation of where you took a loss?
So I spoke about it before, and the biggest one is where, it was the DirecTV situation where I landed a really satisfactory contract where I had the Michigan market, and along with having the Michigan market and rocking and rolling in that market, getting things together, of course, I have family involved, so you kind of already, what I'm saying, from just that know where it's going. But in the midst of, rocking and rolling and establishing the Michigan market, there was talks about giving me the Georgia market. And, things went south. It is what it is. Things went south. I'm not going to delve too deep in the details, but I just put it to you like this. I almost had to file bankruptcy because of that situation, because of family. So I had to make, certain transitions in my life with my family. Uh, but my wife, well, she wasn't my wife then, but you know what I'm saying, she stuck with me through that whole situation, and I climbed up out that hole. You know what I'm saying? I paid what I needed to pay. You know what I'm saying? I scrimped and scraped and worked overnight and did whatever it is I needed to do to get up out that jam. And then I climbed up out that hole and got myself back on track. So, but it was rough, man. It was rough.
What caused you to have that person go on in the first place? Was it a desperation move, or was it a
No, it was more of a, I know that, you know what I'm saying, you trying to get yourself together and build yourself up. You know what I'm saying? You got a baby now. You know what I'm saying? Let me bring you over here. Let me build you up over here. Let me train you. Let me train you. Let me put you in the game. Let me put some money in your pocket, some good money in your pocket. And you know what I'm saying? Let you know what it is, man. You got that one cousin or whoever that just need a leg up.
Excuse me.
You know what I'm saying? They just need a leg up, just need that one push or that one opportunity or whatever, and then you give them that shot. But you know what I'm saying? The gun ends up getting pointed back at you. So
yeah?
yeah.
What do you think you what do you would have did differently if 2020 was hindsight?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
Because it really put me in a position to really have a great learning experience and to understand like how, I want to say, how deep my heart was in my business, and to have went through that, to struggle through that, and then overcome that. I think that's a great learning experience for anybody. I don't recommend anybody go through it. If you can avoid it, please do. But you don't know if something is going to go south or not. But if something does go south, you have to be mentally prepared to go through that fight and to keep pushing and to keep pushing and to keep pushing and to get yourself back on the road. You know what I'm saying? All four flats went, you know what I'm saying? All four of your tires go flat. I drove on the rims to get to the next job. I didn't care. I had to keep going, especially when you're already X amount of years in and this is your primary source. This is one of those true my back was against the wall situations, and I had to go get it, by any means necessary, and legally, you know, definitely wasn't finna do nothing, outlandish, but I was put in a position where I had to go out there and get it, or I wasn't gonna eat. Period.
Yeah. Gotcha.
So let me ask you guys this question. It's like I really want to know where you guys stand on this. It's like I know it's very easy for people to take the bravado route and say, "Oh no, I definitely don't." I appreciate all of my life's journeys and stuff like that. But as a man, I live with regrets. So I want to ask: is that based on the situations that you guys may have experienced, could you name something that you regret doing that, if given the opportunity, you would have done differently, or that when you got the opportunity that you did do differently?
Yeah, that situation right there. Because to be honest with you, you know what I'm saying, and I put myself out there. Um, I put myself out there. Like I was told that it was a bad move. So that was, my fault on that. And again, I honestly can't say that I have regrets about it because of what it taught me, what to look for, it taught me how to work through the biggest fire. So if a situation don't come as close as that, it's small to me. That's easily fixable. Uh, I don't know, man. I can honestly say that I don't have regrets because since then, like I've soared so much. Like I've made, I don't know, 20 times what I lost during that situation, if not more. So it's like I can't really. It's not a regret. It's not a regret. It is the most fantastic learning experience ever that I've been through, and it's really built me up, not only as a businessman, but just as a man. You know,
But
tighten my belt, lace my boots, and it is what it is. Let's get it. You know, was and I'm not finna sit up here and sugarcoat and act like that I didn't want to put a mask on and go hide in the bushes. Wait for him. You know what I'm saying? I ain't finna act like that. I ain't had it on my mind. But you know what I'm saying? But I did what I had to do to get my family out of that situation.
Yeah.
what about you?
Something that I regret, or
Yeah, just as far as your business dealings, like, do you have anything? 'Cause like I say, it's like it's a very common bravado to, take the "what doesn't kill you make you stronger" approach, and that's generally what we take is that we take the negative and make it a positive. That's a commonplace, but at the end of the day, it's like I also live in reality to where there's things that is like I wish I never did that.
well, I guess I could reference the current situation that I'm in now. I decided to partner with a family member, and they can't hold up their end of the bargain. So it's like I'm at a place where it's like I can make a decision to try and keep things going, or I can make the decision of calling my losses. So, but I learned so much in this short span of time because it's only been 4 months. So I've learned that I can't be too hasty to partner with anybody. You know, I learned that when people show certain signs that I shouldn't overlook them. Um, so I want to say I regret it, but the only thing I do regret is that I didn't follow my gut because I kind of felt as if I shouldn't have moved that fast. But I don't know if this has any correlation, but ever since I've been moving again, since my accident, I've been having this urge to kind of get back to where I was or kind of get that same flow back to where I was. And a lot of the decisions that I've made have been out of haste and it has not been very strategic. So, yeah, I could definitely say that's something that I regret, but, don't regret because I got a feeling that after this passes, I'm gonna come out on top. But you know, see how it play out.
One thing
Right,
I
Mike.
can say for sure that I do regret is how quickly I've been in the past, how quickly I've been able to just walk away from stuff. Just like you have a good idea or a good set of people, and it's just like the amount of what effort and then just drop the whole thing and just let that be the end of it. It's like I sit there and I look at a bunch of things that I built that either A, I got bored with, or B, I didn't feel like I should have had to try to motivate people, or that I didn't feel like I should have had to do certain things that, if you think about it, in my current role, that's part of my job description is to find levels of motivation to keep people working, to keep people gainfully employed. You have to find it, whether it's the disciplinary route or whether it's through congratulations for a job well done or anything in between. That's part of what my job is. But then I don't think that it's necessary to do out here in the real world because all of you guys are grown. Y'all should be self-motivated. Y'all should be this. Y'all should be that. But in the business world, that's not how that really works. And a lot of times I gave up on things because I felt like other people were not as invested as me. So I just dropped the whole thing. Or the flip side of it, where the people were more invested than I was, and I was reacting off of impulse, and I got into it because, man, that sounds like a great idea. And then once the initial excitement of it waned, I just fell back. So, I mean, I definitely think that if I had to look at key instances of where I could have been if I would have stayed current, I would say one other thing that I do think that I regret. Well, not that I think that I regret, but I absolutely regret when it came down to doing business. I wish that I wouldn't have said yes to so much. Because I think I severed a lot of relationships because people counted on me to do a lot of things. And I wanted to be the guy to do it or to help or to facilitate that thing. And I wasn't in a place in my life to where I could have adequately did it. So when I dropped the ball, it took a shot at my credibility. So I really feel like a lot of things I should have said, you know what, that sounds like a great idea, but I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna have to, I'm not saying no because I don't believe in it. I'm saying no because I'm not in a place to where I can accommodate that thing right now.
Not all opportunities are meant to jump at. That's something hard to learn.
I used to overbook, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be at your show 7 o'clock Saturday. All right, I'm gonna be there. Completely forget. Oh, you need to book a studio session 7 o'clock Saturday. All right, cool. Yeah, I'll be at home. I'll be available. And then before you know it, it's just like you breaking commitments left and right because you're so busy trying to be that for everybody that now you make yourself look unreliable.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm hearing you speak, and it's like, personally, it's regrets for you, but I'm only hearing things that were learning experiences, things that could have been fixed, things that, of course, being younger, you didn't have a full grasp and understanding of what was going on and how that would have looked or played out and things of that. Like you're not in that state of mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if anything, I didn't hear anything that you couldn't have came back from, reestablished, rekindled, rebuilt, you know what I'm saying, grew from, all that's all I'm hearing was just areas of opportunities. But
Well, think about it from
I didn't hear anything about now something regrettable to me would have been when I accidentally hit this girl. You know what I'm saying? I got blinded by the sun, and just out of nowhere, boom, there was a girl. I hit her with my truck. I thought I killed the girl. You know what I'm saying? I cracked that damn skull open. Something like that.
Oh, that didn't happen? You just made that up?
No, this is a real story. I'm telling you a real true story.
Oh shit.
A
Really?
real story. Dissertations and everything. This is a real story.
Oh damn.
Cracked her fucking head open. I thought I killed her. That's something to be regrettable about. You can't come back from that. She
well,
lived.
I mean,
She lived.
nonetheless, and I don't want to desensitize or take anything away from that situation. I'm glad that she lived, and I'm glad that obviously the mental process didn't debilitate you.
Dude, man, I couldn't sleep for a year over that.
I could imagine.
Yeah, that's different. I ain't never hit nobody.
Bro, don't. Please.
What I will say is that we have to remember that regret is a term that's past tense.
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at it and you start reflecting, you have to have grown from it to regret it. Because you don't regret something that you think that you were justified in. You can't. These two things can't live in the same space. So regret is like the word remorse. It's synonymous in a reflection of a past situation that you're no longer in that place. If a felon or somebody, they go to jail because they hurt somebody, and the time that they spend in jail, they reflect on the fact that they hurt people. And now that they're getting the proper counseling and the proper education, they had time to sit back and reflect on the situation. That's when regret, remorse, and other synonymous words start to kick in, or at least that it should kick in, to where they start to identify the fact that that wasn't what it was. Like, man, I was stupid for selling those drugs. Now I'm sitting here for 5 years. My life is going past. I can't be around my kids. I can't. Like,
Hmm.
that's when it happens,
That's
when
a
you're
regret.
looking at it
Yeah.
from past tense.
Hmm.
So at the end of the day, it's like, it's not a situation more so that there was no growth taken from it, but it was an understanding that I had to elevate from those positions in order to actually feel something for it. For people that I may have fell out with, that I didn't do my due diligence in researching the situation. I took something for. He told me that you was texting my woman behind closed doors. I didn't do my due diligence in that situation. I took his word for it. Now me and you no longer talk because I believed him, and the whole time he was the snake. No offense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's yeah.
So a lot of times we sit back and we think about regret in certain situations. And again, it's like, even transitioning from the business conversation, there are decisions that we make in haste. There are decisions that we make out of emotional state. There's decisions that, and that's why I tell a lot of guys, we don't do good operating out of our emotions. We're analytical people. We're that group, that sector of the species that we have to think things through, because if we operate out of how we feel at the time, it will almost always be at our detriment.
Yeah. It was for me, for sure.
I definitely agree.
So, I mean, with that segue, let's look at it like this. I tell people that I can look at situations for how I raised my daughter. I can look at situations from how I dealt with marriage. I can look at situations with how I dealt with finances. I mean, the pot is so large. The pot is so, like, I mean, there's so many different areas to pick from, not just in the regret sector, but bringing it back to the concept of knowing your worth, that you made a lot of decisions that you didn't necessarily think at the time were at your detriment, but you may have jumped in it because it felt right, or you may have jumped in it because everything appeared right in that limited set of circumstances. But with further expanded thinking, is like, wait a minute, you may have been great here, but in here, here, and here, you're extremely immature and incapable of handling this, and this is the business that really needs to be done.
Hmm.
Like, how many times have you found yourself in situations to where you're trying to explain important things to people, but to them it's like it's in one end out the other. They only want to be a part of the parts that they want to be a part of. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to go out and drive the Uber, but I want to collect a piece of the Uber money.
Hmm.
Oh well, but I'm letting you use my car. Yeah, but guess what? If we both used our car, we could double the pot. It's like the understanding that we have to really think things through. And sometimes after we come to the realization of where certain things are not, like, sometimes it's not pulling the cord fast enough. When you notice
Hmm.
that there's some things that's not right, or some things that's completely out of whack. Sometimes it's really taking the time to really say to yourself, why do I associate with these people? What do I get from these people? What value is added to my brand every time I walk out in the street with you, every time that I'm seen with you,
Hmm.
everything that I do, the way that I dress, the way that I speak. When you talking about knowing your worth, there's so many different areas that you can choose from. I want you guys to just completely separate from business. Give me an example of something that you can look at and say to yourself to where you've devalued yourself, why you did it, and what you had to learn from it. What was the learning experience that came along with that thing after you came to the realization, or you had your aha moment, so to speak.
Ah,
Mine came from being involved in a particular said group. I think my aha moment is when this particular song came out. Let me really gave me a chance to really rethink things. Actually, kind of, do like a little Insidious type of situation, out of body experience, and take a look at the whole situation as a whole. What's up, Keita?
Outside, Kita.
And you really start to see how the problems and everything that's going on is coming from the inside, not the outside. And you know what I'm saying, I just had to, when you really start to see how things came about, and how this particular situation came about, and how that came about, and why did this happen, and how come this person over here know that, and all, you know what I'm saying, like, you the only one that I told, and all this and that. So it's like, light bulbs and green lights and all that just started going off, so that I'm trying to dance around it, but that was my aha moment, dealing with this particular group and finding out that there was a wolf in sheep's clothing, inside the camp, stirring up the issues.
The funny thing is that in a lot of social settings, it's always the person who pretends to be, well, not pretend to be, the person who practices charisma, the person who is stirring the pot, the person who has the most electric personality, so to speak. They draw people in, but it's no different than me standing within close coordinates of a bunch of people with the flu. Little germ from here, little germ from here, little germ from here. It could be one person standing in the center that got the flu, and it could be 6 people in the room, and before you know it, now 6 people have the flu. You see, and this reminds me of what I was talking about the other day with you about those 48 laws of power. That when you read Law 8, it's called, I mean, not Law 8, but Law 10,
Law
it's called
10.
infection, avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. And you start really reflecting, and when you look at the results, like, I hear what you're saying to me, and I hear all this stuff that you're trying to get me to think about, but let me step outside the box and let me look back inside the box, and let me look at how is your philosophies that you're trying to get me to buy into, how is it working for you?
That part.
Where's how happy are the people that are around you? What is your relationship with your parents like? When I'm around you, what is the relationship with my parents like? What is your love life like? What is my love life like being associated with you? What are things becoming more plentiful by associating with you, or are they becoming more destructive associating with you? Am I building or am I destroying by being associated with you? And a lot of times we don't necessarily look at things from that perspective. So I definitely agree in that sense how you broke that down. And obviously I understand where you were going with that situation. But even dancing around it is highly indicative of a lot of situations that we go through, that we literally are either looking for mentors, or we're hanging out with people who just have those very strong personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And we look at them like, man, they sing like they got it all together. They always got an answer for everything. But then when you look back, and hindsight is 2020, all they did was try to be you the whole time.
That part, yeah.
What about you?
It's the situation where
Speak up. We sharing the mic.
Situation where I was a couple of years ago. I met a few people, and we all had the same goal, but it seems as if I ended up taking care of a majority of things. I had a studio once upon a time.
I remember.
Yeah,
One on
definitely.
not Foresight.
Orange, and
Yeah, the
downtown.
Yeah, I remember.
So you had a studio, and you bring people along, and you expect people to carry the end of the weight, but you give them the benefit of the doubt. I think when you were saying what you were saying, that's the word I was thinking about, is not noticing these things in people, and asking yourself, what value do you bring to my life, or what is actually going on in your life, and should I even be associated with you? So I didn't fully think of all those things. I was young, and I was
Hmm.
just focused on the goal. Like, what's the goal? Like, let's get to the goal. So if I'm the one that, if I gotta pay for this shit, let's do it. Like, fuck it. Like, it don't even matter. So, but not thinking about, like, okay, why is nothing and everything that you touch? Why is nothing coming out of that? Why are you getting opportunities and you're dropping the ball? Like, why are why are you in the same position you was in a few years ago when I met you? Why are you older than me, but it seems as if I'm
Older
coaching
than
you?
you.
Yeah, like,
Right, right,
so
right.
Yeah, dog.
um
Yeah.
so it was a lot of things that, I had to analyze, and I didn't notice until, I was kind of sucked dry, and I was just, so yeah, like that benefit of the doubt for friends, and associating with something you're trying to accomplish, it still has to be completely black and white. It can't be nothing left on the table as far as understanding and what the actual plan to achieve that goal that you want to achieve with together is. So, and that goes for anything. Like, I think, even in a relationship is give and take. So if you're in a relationship with someone, it should be clear what you guys both bring to the table, and what you add to each other's lives, or just even as a friend, like, like, are you sucking me dry, or are you making me happy when I speak to you? It's just those little analyzations. We've been, you could have some friends that you've been friends with for so long, but don't even notice that they kind of suck you dry, like, emotionally.
Oh man, you just
And I think you hit that on the head because it's like that whole like giving it the benefit of the doubt and everything. It's almost like you get this, you fall into the state of mind that, you know what I'm saying, that's my man's, you know what I'm saying? Or that's my homie, or that's my homegirl. She wouldn't do me like that. Like, why would she not have my best interest? Why would he not have my best interest? Why would, you know what I'm saying? Like, you start to get that in your head, and it's like they definitely don't have your interests, especially when you just take a step back and look at the signs, because they do tell you, and you're gonna be oblivious to it at first because you probably don't have nobody around you kind of guiding you or coaching you, or giving you hints or tips or whatever, trying to put a spotlight on it. But yeah, that's what it is. You just become so oblivious to it because your portion of what you putting into the friendship relationship is genuine, it's real, the love is real. And the screwed up part about that is that they know that, and they're armed with this information, and they still do what they do.
Yeah. Some people may not even know that they're, I wouldn't say it's sick, but that they're lacking something, because the people around them, they coddle them, and they make it okay for them to be a particular way. So some people don't even notice that they are the draining ones, because they have a whole bunch of support that from people that just love them. And love could be that blinding force field for someone to not get their shit together, like, which, it could be tough love, or but I just think you got to be able to differentiate that, because I notice some people that have a solid support system, and because they have a solid support system, they can't get their shit together, because when they fall, they got something to fall back on. So they so
Hmm.
used to that, they so used to, okay, I know I'm gonna be good, that there's no fire lit under their ass. Like, and as a man, like, there's times where I had to light my own fire. Like, because I have a solid support system, but I don't reach for people unless I really have to. And some people are just so used to it that they don't even know. And you're that friend that's just like,
Always available
you feel me? I got you.
emotionally and all that. Yeah, I got you, bro. Yeah, I come scoop you. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's 3 o'clock in the morning, but I guess I'll come get you.
Yeah. It's funny that y'all say that. Like in the whole friendship space. Like I had something really good and I lost it because what you were saying was so deep. I think you pretty much hit my point. But one thing I was thinking about while y'all were talking about that is that there was a pastor that Brittany and I once had years ago, and that pastor said something during the service that is like it just like it hit so hard, and he was just like, people as Christians, they feel like being a good Christian, and when you see somebody that is falling, they getting ready to hit their rock bottom, that you feel like it makes you a good person or a good Christian to put the blanket down and kind of soften the blow as they going. But because of the fact that you keep cushioning the fall for them, they don't get to hit that rock bottom to where they have to learn the lesson that they need to learn. So what they're learning is no matter what I do, somebody's going to be there to bail me out. Somebody's going to listen to me complain. Somebody's going to enable my behavior. Somebody is going to go sit down at the bar with me knowing that I have a drinking problem. Somebody's going to provide me the drugs knowing that I have a drug addiction. Somebody is going to enable me to do all types of deplorable activities and stuff. And somebody's going to justify my behavior. And when you really take the time to think about it from that position, many times we think that it's us being real friends that we are loyal to a fault. But then again, you turn around and you ask yourself that with all that I've done and with all the situation I put myself in and all the times that I almost caught cases for your activities, how many times was I loyal to me trying to save you? How many times have I actually sat there and picked up my phone and listened to somebody nag and complain all day long about something that they have complete control over fixing that problem? How many times have I sat there and let some girl cry on my shoulders just so she can go back to the same dude that she swears bringing her all the trauma and all the drama and all the foolishness? How many bills have you paid on behalf of somebody saying, hey, don't worry about it. I got you. I'm going to take care. Because in your mind, you thinking to yourself, well, I know what I'm capable of. So I know that if I give this, I know I can get it back. So even if I lose it, I'm good because I can figure it out.
No. Often the good people take from themselves when they should be giving it back to themselves. Like there should be heavy discernment when it comes to constantly giving and not receiving anything back, even though, we hear that all the time. You have to give to receive, but there's only so much that you can give of yourself before you're depleted.
The emotional bank account, as they call it.
Facts.
Sure.
My thing is that, as I like to tell people all the time, is that the one thing that I know for a fact is that I've lost money and I've made more. I've lost friends and I've solidified great relationships. I've lost jobs and I found a career. I've done everything under the sun, but the one thing that I can't not do is be 37. So
37.
everything, you say what?
Be 37.
No, that's the one thing I can't not do is be 37. And what I mean by that is the fact that every single opportunity that I let slip through my fingers, everything that I've foregone, everything that I have not done for myself up until this point, I devalued my worth, either because I tried to convince myself that I didn't deserve it, or I tried to convince myself that I wasn't really interested when I was, or I didn't take advantage of it because I was trying to uphold some other situation. Whatever the circumstances may be, I realized that time is the most valuable asset that I have. And because of the fact that time is the one asset that I can't get back, being at a position where you're old enough to know better and young enough to do better, you have to take advantage of these prime years that you have to where you have some level of physicality to still get out there and do, but you have enough experience to mentally be able to sift through certain things to know I don't need to do that. I don't need to start step A, B, C, D, E. I have enough experience to where I can start at E. I've already done this. I don't have to go back through step A, B, C, and D. There's nothing for me to learn. There's nothing for me to do in that situation. I can literally start here and take what I know and I expand. And whatever's new that's going on, I will learn as I go. But I don't need to relearn how to build relationships with people. I don't need to relearn how to save money. I don't have to relearn how to set goals. I've already done this a million times. So there's no need for me to start from scratch over and over and over again in every single thing that I do, because it's just a matter of I set my mind to it and I need to just go. That's it. The rest of it I'll figure out in the journey. But how many journeys do we forego for reasons that have nothing to do with us? How many more times do you just throw your hands in the air because somebody else don't want to be a part? Or because somebody else has, like for instance, where you were speaking on your trucking business. Does the trucking business stop because one part of the trucking business is not holding up to the end of the bargain? Or do you just restructure and move forward?
Restructure.
And that's it.
Call my losses.
I mean, that's what I did. You know what I'm saying? Like the story I just told you. I tightened my belt, laced my boots, and I made it happen. Rebuilt.
You know, that's and really you didn't rebuild. You just trimmed the fat and built from the areas that were good.
Mm.
You didn't have to start all the way from the beginning. It's like, okay, here's the cancer, but the rest of the body is fine. You didn't have to create a brand new body. Just cut the cancer out.
Right.
No.
Redevelop that muscle that the cancer was eating up, and boom, now you back stronger than ever. Now, one thing I definitely want to get into as far as the knowing your worth thing is like the concept of knowing your worth is very unique as far as the knowing part.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think that's the most important part.
how do you know? How do you know? That's one of the things that is incumbent of most people to really understand about their lives is the know part, right? So, for instance, how do you know that an install for a monitor in a restaurant? How do you know the going rate for that? How do you know what to charge to ensure that you are getting paid the industry rate for what you do? Hold on, before you answer, I just want to just think about things until I get to the end of the question.
Okay.
So further than that, like how we use the Chef Ramsay example, or some of the like mainstream people who they can charge whatever they want. Why does Denny's get to charge $14 for a burger and fries, and McDonald's charges $8 for a burger and fries? How do you get this quality of meat from over here, and then I go to Steak and Shake and I get burger and fries for $5.99? It's not just margins all the time. Sometimes it's something else. So the thing is that with brand notification, with brand notoriety, with fame, with whatever circumstances that come in, that's the know part. How do you know how to match up what you're asking for with what your worth is? How do you decipher marketplace value? How do you know hey, this is the type of woman that I want? How do you know that you're at a place to where that type of woman that you want in your life, that you can accommodate that type of woman or provide that type of lifestyle for that type of woman? How do you know? How do you decipher the no part?
Well, no, as he mentioned, Mikey, it's not always about the bottom line. And real quick, just to address the cancer, it wasn't anything bad. It was actually good about how you address the issue and then you severed yourself from the issue. Everything else is still fantastic. You know what I'm saying? Basically, he was saying you got a sick body. Well, find what's causing the body to be sick, cut it out. The rest of the body's still good. Rebuild. You know, well, you don't have to rebuild. The rest of the body is good. You just make that part that the cancer ate up stronger because you know better. But as far as like knowing, I think it kind of really all, yeah, bad timing.
Yeah.
I really just think that it boils down to um, one, what is actually going to be your strategy behind uh, what your price point is, and and what I mean is like what is your goal and what is your purpose behind this specific burger as to why Gordon, we'll just go ahead and use Gordon, what his plan was, what his marketing was, and what his advertisement and the different moves that he put in place to be able to charge $60 for a burger. When McDonald's, like you said, can charge $8, and that's probably a whole entire meal. That's a Big Mac, probably with extra Mac sauce, the fries, and a large drink for the $8.
That was probably
And
a double cheeseburger meal inflation and rose that Big Mac.
you know what I'm saying? So, but it still could be part of some type of marketing strategy behind it. It's not always profit because they may take a hit on this $8 meal, but they make it up because they know that they sell so many McFlurries.
Well, the markup is in the drinks because it's all syrup. So because of
So
that, it's like
that too, you know what I'm saying? It could be the type of formula that they use for the syrup. It could be the amount of CO2 that they putting in the drink. It could be putting the ice in at a certain, you know what I'm saying, part of the cup. There's numbers of ways that they can make up these numbers, but it's all part of the whatever strategy that they have in place as to why the price point is what it is. And I I don't know. I know it's not always profit. I do know that for sure. But it has to be some type of plan in place as to why the price point is what it is.
so. I mean, aside from price point, I want
Hmm.
to focus solely on the concept of the knowing. How do you know that what you're asking for, that it is in line with what your current value is?
Well, again, that goes back to what you're planning for that thing to be. So if you have to have a plan as to you wanting, yeah, it's
Yeah,
perceived. So you have to put a plan in place that's going to make people have a perceived value as to why that is a $15 burger. That is the only way I guess that you can really explain it. You have to put the time in and the work in and give it value to put in the mind that, damn, you know what? When he goes to the grill, he don't just grab a frozen patty and just slap it on the grill and use a salt and pepper shaker mix. He actually goes to the freezer or goes to the fridge, actually grabs the ground beef and he molds a nice ball. And then he has this special tool that he puts it on the grill and it mashes the burger down to the precise circular dimension that it needs to be. And then he cooks it for a certain amount of time. And he waits for a certain temperature to then add the salt and pepper because it sinks into the. You know what I'm saying? It's all about how you you build your brand around it and what you do with it to add the perceived value for it. I don't know no other way to explain it. And my bad if I missed the marker. But that's the
No,
only
no.
way that I could see it.
I thought that you explained that pretty well. What are your thoughts?
Well, if you take the burger concept and I guess apply it to um like me as a person, like how do I know my value? Like I would base it upon the information that I have attained, the experiences that I've gone through, um, the time that I've put into, a said thing, or even myself, just working on myself for that particular said thing. So if we're speaking of you know, how would I know my worth in like design? Like a lot of people don't know that I'm like obsessed with design and branding because I've been these years I've just been taking the time to study and like learn, and I haven't actually moved fully on a like brand because I understand the time it takes to add value in that particular field. So I take it as what time have you put in, and then when you do come to the table with whatever it is that you want to do, what value can you offer to that actually trickles back to figure out what your value is. Because it's like if you was to step into a office and say, hey, my name is Mike and I have this amount of experience in the contracting field, this is what I've done, you know and this is my price. Of course your price is going to be, you're going to have done your research already, but your information that you have, there's going to be some type of edge that you will have on the competitor that will then make you establish what your value is.
I
So
think you hit the marker when you were talking about experience.
yeah, so
And I think the experience is what allows you to be able to mold your craft into being able to properly get people to perceive the value that you're trying to promote for your said product or your said services.
yeah,
Just like that word right there that Mikey just used, handcrafted, that is a marketing word.
When you
That,
think,
oh, go ahead, Mike.
what I was gonna say is that when you think about it, remember when the craze with the premium denims, your paper
Hmm.
denims, your True Religions, your Joes, your what was the other fancy one? Seven for All Mankind's.
yeah,
One of the pluses for a lot of these brands was the fact that they were handmade in America. No two
Yeah.
pairs of them were alike. So when you bought them, you knew that they weren't coming mass produced from a factory. You knew that they were coming, and it's like how it was sold to you was you're paying for superior craftsmanship.
Hmm.
And it's like, with Levi's, it's just like, yeah, we don't do none of that, and we gonna charge $34.99. And I guarantee you will last longer than them.
facts.
Hmm.
Yeah, so it's true though, except for Joe's.
No, like I have these that I have on right now. These are Joe's.
Yeah, yeah.
Like these are
Joe is a
ridiculous.
staple brand, but although all the other brands that you've named, they they've had some type of, I won't say seven either, but they've had some type of marketing pitch for people that kind of died out because the people that don't market and just build their brand um, with a core following of people that just like good quality stuff,
Like Supreme.
they just last. Like they don't,
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
funny as it it sounds, is no marketing is marketing.
And
That part. And to your point, because I used to believe in the concept of uh A business with no sign is a sign of no business. But it's like when you look at Rolex, when you look at Lamb, when you look at, Supreme, when you look at all these different
Lancome.
superior, what's up?
Lancome.
When you look at all these different superior products, and they ain't really like on billboards and all that like that. So, it kind of really makes you think, well, how? How do they do it? You know?
Well, I mean, I think that because some of those brands have been around long enough to where I like one thing I learned in school in my marketing classes is that price point plays a lot because there's a group of people, there's a sector of the world that they like shopping at Whole Foods. They like the aesthetic of Whole Foods. They like the way that it's put together. They'll pay more money because the customer service is better, because the aesthetic is better, because of the variety of what you're getting is better. You have more names
Hmm.
in certain. It's like majority of it is healthier options, and it's not just all over the place. It's put together in a way to where it makes there's an education in the
Yeah,
shop.
the shopping experience is a lot better. The way that all the products on the shelves and what I'm saying, it flows well. The flow of
Yeah,
traffic is nice.
yeah.
Yeah,
Trader
yeah.
Joe's and Trader Joe's are actually like a upscale Aldi's. I think Aldi's owns Trader Joe's.
Hmm.
But
Hey, I didn't know that. That's dope.
yeah, I mean, but the underlying factor of it is that there's a sector of people who they pay for what they like. There's also a sector of people who they pay for just like there's a sector of people that they buy Maserati because they know that regular people can't afford a Maserati. They just don't want to drive what you drive. There's a sector of people that they just don't want to live. Like they pay big money to live in Calabasas. Not that they could not have better options, but because they don't want to live next door to you. They want to
Yeah,
live next door to people who what their walk of life is the norm.
is the norm. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
there is that market. There's those people that when they see a Rolex, they don't care about the fact that a Rolex is a staple brand. They just care about the fact that if you can't afford to buy a presidential Rolex, then you don't have a Rolex.
Right.
If you can't
I
afford
mean, that
to
makes a lot of sense.
if you can't afford to wait 5 years for a Birkin bag, then you can't afford a Birkin bag. If you have to ask what the price is, you shouldn't be here. There are some people that they get off on knowing that they have exclusive access to things that everybody else doesn't.
And that's marketed in itself.
Yeah. So it's just like
Other companies.
price point is like sometimes the quality is trash. Like, I won't say that, but for most people who I know who like buy Christian Louboutins, they'll tell you this is one of the most uncomfortable shoes that they've ever had.
But they don't buy it for comfort.
But they're not buying it because, man, this is great shoe. They're buying it because it has a red bottom on it. It's a signature staple piece. They're not buying a Burberry raincoat because it protects them from the rain. They're buying it because the name is Burberry and because it's going to cost about $1,500 to walk out the store with it. And they're going to walk out with the matching umbrella and the luggage.
Yep.
And try their best not to actually get real rain on it.
Don't forget the galoshes.
Gotta have the galoshes. Gotta have the galoshes. Anyway, guys, so as far as the Know Your Worth conversation, I think we touched on a couple of pieces as far as having conversations, as far as things that we have done to slow down our progress and or that we didn't realize what our worth was at the time that we started entering into these things, taking baby steps into learning who we were, what we were, and even identifying things that we still do today that we're still learning. The best part about it is that we understand that there's a concept of consistent growth and progression, that it does not allow us to just look at a situation and assume that we've got the best handle of it now. Because if you made 600 last year, doesn't mean that you won't make 6 million the next couple of years. Because you already know the formula to make this. I can make $100,000 a year. I know the formula to make it because I've already done it.
Facts, Mikey.
Saying they bought it because
He's just
the
been
designer
going
built
on about
marketability to upper echelon society, which gives increase. And it's funny because of the fact that, and you saying that just in the brief segue, because of the fact that certain members of society who have the means have it, it automatically makes certain people who desire to be in that atmosphere want it more. They might not even know that, just say a notable name like Kim Kardashian. Kim Kardashian might be receiving these things for free just because her brand is so
Yeah.
big that
Definitely.
it's attractive to hundreds of millions of people just because she has it. So for her to put on anything will automatically raise the stock of anybody's brand.
Yeah. If Kim Kardashian, I don't know if it's a meme or if I think these are actual real boots, but the Astro Boy boots that's going around. If Kim Kardashian was to wear them boots, they would fly off the shelf.
Yeah, for sure.
$5,000 a pair, they would still sell out.
But she wouldn't do it unless she just really liked it or unless they paid her.
Well, the thing is that even when they pay her, she is on record of making people sign NDAs that she doesn't disclose the brand or the name of it because she doesn't do promotion for other people. It's counteractive because what Skims and other things that she does, she doesn't put her name behind other stuff. It's like, unless it's like Vera Wang or some huge designer that there's like a mutually vested interest. She'll wear somebody's brand, but she won't promote it. Say I work for Keurig, Dr. Pepper, corporate, and because I have that name behind me, it will open doors to other major corporation brands. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Because
you can go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Within that realm.
As soon as you say that I have worked for a major competitor, it's only so long before Coca-Cola or Pepsi are sitting around saying, hey, well, what you did over there, we'll offer you this much more plus a better benefits package.
Ties into value. Definitely ties into value.
Just because of the certain names you have on your resume. And if you walked into Pepsi or Coca-Cola as the large players in those industries and you didn't have that name behind you, they could easily lowball you. But since you have that behind you, there's no telling, the sky's the limit as far as what the opportunities are to advance beyond what it is just because of the names that you have.
Especially Keurig. Like Keurig is basically, I mean, even with they came out with, I think it's the Ninja and all that. Even with all these other companies trying to compete with the Keurig completely changed the coffee industry.
Yeah.
So now you got Dunkin' making K-Cups and you got Starbucks making K-Cups. So to have that name behind you, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, we got to shut this down. We have reached the hour, 8 minutes. I thank you guys for showing up, as always, to the Extraordinary Man Podcast. I got to really try to tone that down. It's like match the energy of the actual show. Thank you guys for showing up, as always. Y'all are so well appreciated for all the great things that y'all do. By all means, make sure you guys tune in on Friday, same time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be very well appreciative of your time. And also don't forget that we will be available on Saturday, 11 a.m., 10 a.m. Central Time. We'll be back at it. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the YouTube channel if you're not already. And if you are subscribed to it, then make sure that you send somebody over that is not subscribed to it before we have to go out and find them, grab them, and drag them to the YouTube page to subscribe to it. But again, thank you all for all y'all time and effort. Facebook group, Extraordinary Man. Just type it in, The Extraordinary Man on Facebook, and you can visit any one of us Extraordinary Men on any social media. Phil Jones on basically everything. King Midas or Michael Merritt on social media, and then also Kadeem Bourne, one of the greatest musicians that you never heard. And if you don't grow and buy an album ahead, then we're going to have to come and find you because you don't know what you're missing out on.
Sir.
All right, guys. Peace.
Man.